What's up, Vikings fans? I'm Gabe Henderson. We are only one day away from the NFL draft, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Vikings General Manager Rick Spielman. How you doing today, Rick?
Gabe, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
This is the time of the year where you go about 3 to 5 days of getting no sleep. It's under weird circumstances, unprecedented circumstances. So, how are you holding up during these times?
First thing I think everybody knows that we are very blessed to have all the first responders, all the medical people out there doing everything they can to combat, this COVID-19 pandemic. And just can't tell you how our organization, our ownership, everybody in our organization appreciates them being on the front lines every day. So it almost feels secondary to what I'm doing right now, even though I know it's very important to what they have to go out and battle and face every day. But no, we're very excited about this draft. We've been having our normal draft meetings. The IT department, led by Cheryl Nygaard, Paul Nelson, Luke Burson, all them IT folks have done a tremendous job keeping us on task and us being able to function the same way virtually that we would do if we were in a draft room together. So it's been a very smooth process, and look forward to kicking this draft off, because not only I know from a technical standpoint how this is going to operate and how smooth it's been, but feel we're very prepared and ready to go.
Could you give us a quick tour of your draft room setup? I don't see a magnet board in the back, so I'm assuming you got everything set up from a digital standpoint.
Yeah, this right here, if you see right behind me, slide out of the way. This is actually our digital draft board. Unfortunately, I'm not going to show the people the names on there, but this is the actual draft board, a replica of what we have in our facility. And this is just an example of me being able to go up there, use an electronic board. All 6 of those screens can interact together. I can pull names from the third screen to the first screen. We can do the things that we normally do, like we would function in our draft room. The rest of the stuff, if you can see, I have a lot of computers set up here going around. Each one of those computers will have a significant function during draft day. So, for example, one computer will be used for our draft virtual room, and who's ever in our virtual room during draft day will be in that room. We'll have a separate computer and draft chat going on for trades. So myself, Rob Brzezinski, George Payton will be on that as they work through trades and we go through this. I have a third screen that will be following team needs and following the draft. And I also have 2 phone lines coming in, one for trades and the other one that will be a WebEx call that goes directly into the league. So if anything does happen or something does fail on this end, we have a direct phone line into the league to either get in our pick or to consummate a trade.
All this technology, everyone at different places, and trying to communicate, effectively. What does that communication process look like for you and your staff? Because once that pick comes, I'm sure everybody has to be on that same page of, hey, this is the guy that we're going to get.
Yeah, we've been meeting for over a month now, virtually. So I think as we've been through our process, everybody's very comfortable talking in the track room that we're talking. Actually, it's been very smooth, and it's almost like we would function normally if everybody were together in the facility. I think the thing that we are rehearsing is to make sure, for example, whoever's going to contact the player, that I'm able to communicate with him to call the player before the selection.
I know you're not known for making trades during the draft at all, so I won't ask
No.
any questions about that. But let's say a trade comes in and there are some technical problems. Is there something in place? Because I know you guys had a mock draft. The NFL had a mock draft on Monday, and I'm pretty sure some of those scenarios came up. If this happens, or what if that happens? How does that work for you?
Yeah, if there is a technical glitch, let's say, I have a direct line right into the NFL. I know George Payton from his house has a direct line, and so does Rob Brzezinski. So we have 3 direct lines in that one of us will be able to go ahead and finish the trade if we do have a technical glitch, through one of these virtual chats.
Having already built I would say a brotherhood relationship with guys like Rob and George and those guys, that has to be key in moments like this, being able to not be able to connect. I mean, not connect, but communicate with each other, in person. Having that relationship has to be key in moments like this, right?
Yeah, no, we've been together for an extremely long time. And when you know how each of us operate, you know what the other's thinking sometimes before the other person even says it. And we've been through a lot of scenarios, draft scenarios together since I've been over the last 13 years. And I know me and George have been together over 20 plus years. So I think everybody has the utmost confidence. And if there is a glitch or something, you don't miss a beat on someone just carrying on with what we were trying to execute, because everybody knows what's expected and what the plan is going into the draft.
Having 12 players this year in the draft scheduled as of right now, how do you weigh between best player available and best player available based on what our needs are?
Yeah, I think we have enough needs right now that, and we've always done the philosophy or taken the philosophy of best player available. How we develop the board is there's always going to be 3 or 4 options at 3 or 4 different positions that we feel have the same value as a player. So as long as they have the same value as a player, then you go ahead and say, well, we need this position instead of this position. So as what we call weave our board together, and as long as the value is the same in a player, then we'll fill the need.
For you, what's been I guess, obviously you haven't been able to see these guys in person. You haven't had the opportunity to bring these guys in for visits. So what's been the evaluation process like? What has the evaluation process been like for you post NFL Combine?
I put a lot on our scouts and a lot on our coaches. Just my time got evolved into, working with the IT on how we needed to function, and them coming up with the different ways on how we were going to be able to do what I asked if we would be able to do. But listening to all the reports with our coaches and all the FaceTiming they've done with these players, and our scouts have done a tremendous job FaceTiming with the players as well, and more than 2 or 3 times on some players. So I know I feel very confident in their ability, if I didn't get directly to sit down face to face with a player, to trust their judgment and their feeling on a player. And so I feel very good about the potential guys that are going to become Minnesota Vikings this weekend.
And with those potential guys, you've said in years past, you've said, hey, the evaluation process starts when they walk into this building. Post-draft, when does that evaluation process start, since there's so many unknowns right now?
Well, we're going to be limited, but it's going to start when they get into the virtual classroom work. And, how serious they're taking that. I know, our coaches are going to still be able to evaluate their learning, how quickly they're picking up the systems. I know there'll be a lot of quizzes and tests. There'll be a lot of reviews as well. So we may not be able to see them interacting in the building or actually working with them on the field, but that portion of the classroom work, I think, will be valuable. And I think even honing in on focusing what we can do right now will help them get caught up as far as from the classroom work on what's going to be expected from a thematic standpoint and an assignment standpoint when they do show up.
Essentially, the results of the draft, you don't see the results until the end of the season. In this case, we want it to be February. But for the time being, post-draft, what do you measure success of the draft by?
I think, you don't measure the success of the draft until 3 years down the road. Gotcha. I know the success is what we've been able to accomplish so far, to go through some of the curveballs that have been thrown to us, and to be able to rely on our entire staff, not only from the football side but from the IT side, to get us functioning as normal as possible. I feel very confident in how we have this draft board stacked right now. I feel very confident in the depth of the draft and the players that are going to have to come in and contribute. Feel very confident that our coaches are great developers of talent. Even though they're going to be young guys, the coaches are looking forward to that challenge to get them ready to play. And then I'll feel very confident once they start playing on the field.
What do you most look forward to, heading into the draft? Because even though it's exciting for fans, it's got to be exciting for you also, right?
No, this is our day. This is our game day. This is a Scouts game day. This is our last opportunity to make a significant impact on new players coming in to help our roster. And you only get one opportunity a year to do this. And with all the time and effort that's been put into this since last August, to be honest with you, and all the prep that's gone into it, you get your day to improve your roster significantly over these next 3 days.
Any superstitions? Anything that you usually do
You
at
don't want to get
TCO?
into that. We've got another half hour.
Well, there is, while the draft is going on, there is a draft-a-thon, and it encourages a greater good. So could you, explain what the draft-a-thon is this year and what, how important that is to you?
Yeah, no, I know this year we're having a draft-a-thon. We're trying to raise funds to help combat this COVID-19. I know the funds that we will raise, a portion of those funds will go to our local Minnesota Salvation Army. And I know they're having all the GMs personally make a contribution to help with those funds as well. So it's a great cause, and hopefully as we band together as a society, we'll figure out a way to get through this and get back to our normal lives.